What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel. My name is Dapper, your coach of the Appalachia Appletons, and welcome to Season 4 of the Yuva Naranja Premier Pokemon Draft League, or UNPL for short. For those of you who missed Season 3, that playlist will be up in the iCard above, but what is Pokemon Draft League? Well, it's kind of like fantasy football, where a group of players, called coaches, take turns in a stake-style draft, choosing Pokemon to be used exclusively by them. Each Pokemon is assigned a point value between 1 and 20, depending on viability, and some are even banned, like Box Legendaries, Magearna, and Fluttermane. Each coach had 115 points in this league, and we got to spend that on 10 to 12 Pokemon, and could designate up to 18 points for 2 to 3 Terra Captains. We even could use the new Stellar Terra option, but those were only available for 6-point Pokemon and below. So what did I draft? Well, let's jump into it. To start things off, I always let my wife choose my first Pokemon. Yeah, I know, I'm the best. Anyway, she gave me two options, and those were Terapagos and Palafin. Now at pick 9, I knew that my chances at Terapagos were slim to none, and Palafin could even go early, but luckily while Terapagos went pick 2, Big Palafin was still around on my turn. Palafin is an absolutely broken Pokemon with a 160 base attack. It has a similar mechanic to Regigigas in slacking in that its ability seeks to hold it back, but the thing is, all I have to do is come in and swap out, and I'm done. So the downside is little to none, especially with Flip Turn in our arsenal. We also have great setup moves with things like Bulk Up and Agility, as well as powerful attacks in Wave Crash, Jet Punch for priority, Close Combat, Drain Punch, and Ice Punch. We can even run special with Boom Burst to catch opponents off guard. All in all, this thing is an offensive monster and is going to be very difficult for our opponents to deal with. Before I picked my second Mon, I had to make a decision on what route I was going to go with this team. Thanks to It's Danny Mac, a fellow commissioner of the league, we carved out a plan to go for weather. This made my second pick all too obvious, and that is Archaludon. The staple removing bridge thing is a brand new evolution to Duraludon, and it packs some really fun tricks up its sleeve. Not only does it have amazing typing and coverage, but it also gets the ability Stamina, which boosts your defense whenever you are hit with an attack. This combines well with Body Press, which gets stronger the higher your defense stat is. We also get the signature move called Electro Shot that boosts our special attack on turn 1 and then fires on turn 2. However, this extra turn goes away if it is raining, so now I guess you can tell that I'm building a rain team. To go with this rain theme, I wanted to cover my bases, so my third Pokemon that I had in mind was one that was probably going to be taken by the time it got to my next turn. So I had Kurt, yet another commissioner of the league, take my next pick, and then I traded him Raikou that he wanted in Grace Period. The picks and trade were successful, and so we get to pick up Zapdos. Zapdos is an absolutely incredible Pokemon for many reasons. One, it has amazing typing and access to things like Thunderbolt, Thunder, Hurricane, Volt Switch, and U-Turn, and many other moves, but it's also quite bulky, and it also gets the Static ability, which has a chance to paralyze opponents that make contact with it. This is great for speed control, especially since my team isn't incredibly fast at the moment. For my fourth pick, I decided that I wanted to shore up a weakness that my last 2 seasons have had, and that is a lack of entry hazards. My team is quite offensive, and the chip damage provided by hazards can make all the difference, so it was perfect that Glimmora was still on the table when it got back to me. Not only does this Pokemon have fantastic typing, but it also has a very wide move pool, great speed, and pretty decent bulk. It also gets the signature ability Toxic Debris, which sets up toxic spikes when hit with a physical move. Along with access to Stealth Rock, Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Spiky Shield, and others, this can be a difficult Pokemon to deal with that can also set up kills later in the game long after it's gone. This also gives me my first instance of hazard removal with Mortal Spin, which removes hazards and poisons the target, which can be really handy. My fifth pick was one that I thought was really fun. I needed a ground type, as electric spam into a rain team is pretty common and pretty effective, and Torterra fit that bill. This Pokemon is not only quite bulky, but also got access to Shell Smash, so it can be an offensive threat as well. This Pokemon is yet another Stealth Rocker and actually has access to screens if I were to ever need to do that as well. This pick is quite versatile and can lead to a lot of mix-ups with proper prep. It also can't be crit, which is the reason why I lost a couple of games in Season 3, so this at least will prevent that. Now that I was halfway through my draft, I figured I should probably pick up a Rain Sweeper, and wouldn't you know it, a fantastic one was just brought back in Indigo Disc. Kingdra has always been a premier sweeper in Rain. Despite its pretty low special attack at base 95, this Pokemon punches far above its weight class with rain boosted Hydro Pumps and Surfs, as well as moves like Draco Meteor, Hurricane, and Flash Cannon. They also gave it Flip Turn for momentum. This Pokemon also gets things like Agility or Dragon Dance to set up, and can burn physical threats with Scald. Overall, this Pokemon is a monster in the rain, and also going to be a very strong Terra Captain. That's right, this is my first Terra Captain. It can Terastallize into the Water type to further boost its rain boosted Water type attacks. Fairy can also make us immune to incoming Dragon attacks, and Steel can resist incoming Dragon and Fairy attacks and hit Fairies back very hard with Terra boosted Flash Cannon. So now with a Rain Sweeper locked up, we should probably go ahead and get a Rain Setter, and we got the best one that there is, Pelipper. This Pokemon gets the Drizzle ability, which sets rain anytime that it switches in. Combine that with a solid defense stat, access to Hurricane, Hydro Pump, Knockoff, and U-Turn, this Pokemon can reasonably set up the rain and survive to do so again if we need. It also gets access to Recovery with Roost, Tailwind for speed control, and Ice Beam or Gunk Shot for coverage. With my Rain Core complete, I now needed to fill in some gaps, and there was a Pokemon that I had been eyeing all draft that I felt was undervalued on the tier list, and I wanted a second Rapid Spin option. So Hitmonchan joined the squad. This Pokemon got buffed like crazy this generation with the introduction of new moves like Trailblaze and Upper Hand, as well as the Punching Glove item, which boosts punching moves by 10% and also prevents contact, so we don't have to worry about Flame Body or static Pokemon trying to status us. This also stacks with our ability Iron Fist, which further boosts the power of our punching moves. With Swords Dance for setup, Trailblaze and Rapid Spin for speed, Upper Hand and Mach Punch for priority, and tons of coverage, I can see this thing being a sleeper pick that actually does quite well this season. Next, I wanted another Terra Captain, and the Baby Superior was sitting right there, and I wanted to try it. Servine was our next member. This Pokemon is a baby, so its stats aren't the best, but it does have a few things going for it, namely the ability Contrary, which reverses all of its stat changes. I want to use Leaf Storm, which normally lowers my special attack. Well, now it rises. My opponent uses Sticky Web to try to slow me down. Well, now I'm faster. Servine also gets support like Glare, Leech Seed, Knockoff, Screens, and Taunt, but can also fire off neutral Terra Blasts when it turns into the Stellar Terra type. This means that our attack and special attack will both rise by one stage, and it can be used to absolutely nuke opposing Terra Captains. It can also Terra into the Grass type to further boost my Leaf Storms, or the Fire type to provide coverage against opposing Grass, Bug, or Ice types. So now I was at pick 10, the last required pick, and I have 7 points remaining. So while there were several nice options in the 6 or 7 range, such as Male Meowstic, I had my sights set on a 3-pointer that had to be my final Terra Captain. It's another Rain Abuser, and that is Beartic. Now, my wife loves all of the bear Pokemon, so I couldn't pass up on this absolute monster. With a base 130 attack and access to Swift Swim, this big bear is a threat. While its base speed is only 50 and its defenses aren't the best, it makes up for it in coverage and power. It gets access to amazing moves like Aqua Jet, Brick Break, Close Combat, Crunch, Earthquake, Icicle Crash, Liquidation, Play Rough, Shadow Claw, and Stone Edge, just to name a few, as well as setup in Swords Dance, Bulk Up, and Trailblaze. This Pokemon, when well played, is a monster with its ability to Terastallize into an Ice, Fairy, or Fighting type, and it becomes even more effective as it loses its terrible defensive typing. Finally, I had 4 points left, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Originally, I was aiming for Male Meowstic, but like I said earlier, that was 6 points. Instead, I found a value pick which could serve the same role, and even was better typing for me as well. enter Sableye. This little guy is a really effective disruptor with Prankster. It gets access to all of the utility moves that it could ever need, such as Brick Break for screens, Encore and Disable, Fake Out for Chip, Knock Off, Pain Split, Recover, Will-O-Wisp, Thunder Wave, and even Screens now. This also gives me a Dark type and a Ghost type, giving me several immunities that I was in need of. All in all, this little guy can wear a lot of hats and provide much needed utility. Heck, it can even run Rain Dance for Manual Rain as a backup if I need that. So that is your squad for the Appalachia Appletons in UNPL Season 4. Week 1's battle goes up 1 week from today, so I hope you all are excited to see just how far we can push this. I hope that you all have a great day and a great week, and we will see you next Sunday. Until then, stay safe out there, stay healthy, bye-bye.